I hope you have a wonderful International Women's Day as we're having in Youngstown. We have a storied history really started by women, the Morabito women, and we've gone on from there. I hope you stay safe and healthy during this pandemic time, and we'll all get together soon. Take care. God bless. Happy day.
Hey everyone, my name is Katie Guarino and I'm a Senior Coordinator of Football Development at the National Football League. Wishing you all a happy International Women's Day and Women's History Month, and encouraging you all to follow your dreams, whether that be on the court, the field, or behind the scenes contributing to putting on an event. Women have come so far in the sports industry, but it is important for all of us to continue to move the chains forward.
Happy International Women's Day and welcome to this special panel discussion. I'm Haley Jones, digital editor here with the 49ers, and I would like to thank you all for being here for this conversation. Whether you are a 49ers faithful, a member of Women of the Niners, or found this event on LinkedIn, we are happy to have you. We have an amazing panel of women from our organization here to talk to you today about their journey to the NFL and share advice for anyone who wants to pursue a career in sports. I know that you'll all be as inspired by them as I am every day. So without further ado, I want to shift all of the spotlight over to them and ask our panelists to introduce themselves, what they do, and share their favorite moment with the 49ers. Salli, if we could start with you.
Hello, Salli Clavelle here. I'm the pro personnel analyst for the 49ers. So basically what I do is I scour the league for players. It's sort of like just like college, how you go into the different schools and you get those players. That's what me and our team, our pro department do for the league. We just look at film from all 31 other teams, and we just try to find the best fit, the best players from those teams that can help build our culture here.
Do you have a favorite moment or memory?
Obviously, Super Bowl. I mean, that's kind of easy. I think that is the most memorable time for me since I've been here the last 3 years. Obviously, Super Bowl.
Keiana, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'm Keiana Martin. I am the senior reporter of the 49ers. The easiest way that I put what I do, I'm the direct liaison between what goes on inside of the organization and being that voice to deliver that message to our worldwide fan base. So that's through our written content, through our video content, through our audio, through podcasts, through also live in stadium in front of nearly 70,000 fans. So that's a little bit of a small bit about what I do here with the 49ers. And my favorite moment would probably be winning that NFC championship game last year. Just the moment and watching the elation of, not just the players, not just the coaches, but a lot of the long-standing employees and front office members who got to witness that moment, people that have been here for over a decade, and have only experienced it once before. So returning back to that moment, I think was really, really special, especially a lot of the young guys getting there too. It was a really fun moment.
And last but not least, Shelby.
I'm Shelby Soltau. I am the player engagement coordinator, and my responsibilities include anything and everything to do with the personal and professional development of our players. So that includes career development opportunities. We do a season-long rookie development program, financial education workshops, family programming, helping new players that we sign with onboarding and the moving process, helping them find a place to live, getting guys back in school to continue their education and earn their degree, and working with our team clinician to share mental health resources as well. So it's a lot of building relationships and trust with the players and their families and supporting them in a way that allows them to not only maximize their NFL experience, but set them up for success beyond their playing days as well.
Building off of that, in all of your roles, building relationships and maintaining relationships is an important element. Was that something you guys had to develop, or was that a skill you kind of had going into your role?
Building relationships, I feel like, is something that in the earlier parts of my career, I kind of understood the importance of, but it was never really front and center for me, so to speak. But as I've developed in my career, I've learned the importance of not just developing a lot of relationships, but also maintaining a lot of those relationships. Just one example from my perspective of how a relationship has developed over the years is now this past season was our first time really collaborating with NBC Sports Bay Area and their fan base and utilizing that relationship with them to help increase our viewers, our views, our engagement, and also our platform as well. So it's just one small example of how building relationships throughout, your career can kind of help you. And even outside of that, there's to this day, I have a lot of friends from previous stops that I've had in my career who have been really helpful and beneficial. And a lot of that has to do with the relationship that we've had. Even if it's somebody from another team and we're facing them that week, I have the ability to reach out to them and we kind of rely on one another, whether it's me getting, player updates or game preview, just developing those relationships have been really beneficial, especially in my role and what my day-to-day duties are.
It's really interesting that like collaborating with other teams, building on the relationship question as a whole. Salli, do you ever collaborate with people in your similar role on other teams as well, or does it stay pretty internal?
So if you have like a question about a guy that got released or got cut, if you have a contact in another building, then you definitely can utilize that contact. It is very important to have like people that you've connected with, you've networked just on all teams across the league, because that's how you get the most trusted information. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, they're not going to give you top secret things, but just the general information that you need about, hey, I trust this guy's word on this certain player, or he said that this player is this. So there is definitely a benefit to having networks and to networking, and like Keiana saying, maintaining those connections and those networks throughout your career. It's very, very important.
And I guess building off of it again, Shelby, in your role, have you found that because you have to network with so many people, whether that's families, players, people in other teams, departments, how have you found as you've been with the 49ers that skill has developed, or you've become better or worse at it?
Yeah, I mean, particularly with player engagement, we wouldn't be able to cultivate meaningful and personalized programs around finances, family, mental health, etc., if we weren't trustworthy. So I would say being able to be trustworthy and having a passion for what you do. I mean, people can tell when you're being genuine, I think. So that's huge. If we didn't have the trust of our players and their support systems, their families, whoever, I mean, we couldn't do what we do. So I'd say trust is huge, being able to be trustworthy. And, like Keiana and Salli said, we bounce ideas off of player engagement departments across the whole league. We all work together and build programs together. So that's extremely helpful in just continuing to grow the department.
On relationships, because I genuinely don't know, and I think people would be interested, how often, if ever, do your three career paths overlap? How often do you guys get in contact?
Well, I can say I just talked to Salli literally last week. I had her as a guest on one of the team podcasts, which if you're watching right now, you should go give it a listen. It's our You Got Mail podcast. Salli was one of the guests. So I got the opportunity to talk to her. And then I always bother Shelby when I'm in the building.
Thank you, Zoe.
They have a really cool office, so I just bother Shelby anyways.
Yeah. Same, since we're in the building and player engagement is in the building, we just go down there and hang out with Shelbs a lot. And like Keiana said, I was just on her podcast, and Keiana know I like to be behind the scenes. So me and her talk a lot outside of football, but just like as for our careers overlapping, I kind of like to shy away from the camera a little bit. So me and Keiana really don't talk much about that, but we talk a lot outside of actual like football.
We've gone over what you guys do very broadly. Have you guys had something that you've come across that was an unexpected role to what you thought you would be doing, or something that you do that would surprise people listening to this that is part of your responsibilities? Shelby, do you want to start us?
One event that we host that people probably wouldn't expect or know about is our Rookie Family Symposium. So each season, we fly the parents or guardians of all of our rookies that make our 53-man roster plus practice squad. We fly their parents out here and we host them in the stadium the day before our home opener. And it's essentially like a parent orientation where they can hear from ownership, John Lynch, and some of the speakers that we had for rookie development from that off season. And they basically just get an understanding of how to best support their son as they transition from college to the pros. So we're lucky that, you know, we have the backing from the top down to do this event because our ownership, our general manager, our head coach all have such a big emphasis on family in the 49ers. And we make sure that we take care of the players' families too. I think that's one people wouldn't know about, but it's cool that we get to do it.
How much planning goes into that rookie symposium? Like, how far out are you guys practicing or scheduling workshops and flights and all of the stuff, the logistics that go into it?
Well, it's tough because it's always the day before the home opener. So once, you know, the final roster has been set and we've signed our practice squad guys, that's when we can make the calls. So it's usually either a week or 2 weeks, depending if our first game is at home or away. So that's the tough part. But last year we had to do it virtually, unfortunately, but we are prepared. We just can't do any of the planning with flights and all of that, getting everybody here. I mean, it's very last minute, but we've always had really high attendance and it's one of our favorite events of the year.
Salli, do you have an unexpected role?
Unexpected maybe for people that don't really know what we do on the pro side. So outside of us evaluating players, we're each given specific teams that we have to evaluate and write up. But in that, we have to do advances. So an advance is basically a preliminary scouting report, and we give that to the coaches. So let's say we play a team next week. I will start that advance or the scouting report this week. And the Monday prior to the Sunday that we play them, I'll go in and I'll present to the coaches. So head coach Kyle, the assistant coaches on both sides, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and we'll just say, hey, this is what I saw that they do. In this package, they run dime, they run nickel. On defense, they're a 3-4 team. You know, this is who they sub in. On offense, they're heavy 21 personnel, stuff like that. So we kind of give them what I would just say a heads up on what to look for as they begin game planning. So we kind of try to stay a week ahead of them in game planning because, you know, the coaches, they're focused on, you know, the week of who we're playing. So we try to help them out as much as we can and just work a week ahead of them. And hey, this Monday before you start game planning, this is what I saw. So we'll always sit down around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll present to both sides of the ball. And if they have any questions, obviously they can always come to us. So that's kind of something unexpected that a lot of people don't know that we do outside of, you know, evaluating the league and just evaluating players. We also evaluate entire teams.
Do you have a team that you would do every year, or you just assign teams kind of at random? Is there like a build on how much you know about the roster?
Yeah, so there I have a couple teams that overlap from last year, but then I got a few new teams. Our pro director, Rand Carthon, he likes to give us a glance at the entire league. So every year he'll just rotate some teams. He'll keep some teams that we already had, but then he'll add in, new teams each year just so we can get an eye on everybody.
Okay, unexpected role. That was a new one for me. So we have already checked off something that you didn't know. Keiana, do you have one?
Yeah, I'll say that I didn't know that as well, Salli. In the many conversations that we've had, I've known about you scouting talent, but not necessarily weekly. So learned something new there. But for me, I feel like a lot of my job is pretty much you kind of know what I do and what it entails. And you might be able to help me out with this one, Haley, because I work very closely with Haley in our digital department. But I think for me, I'm pretty much a one-man/woman band. I don't really have a research team to help when developing content. So a lot of the interviews or features that I write, articles, in-game, whatever it might be, a lot of that comes from myself. So I think that's something that also going into the role, I thought maybe it'd be like, a little bit of staff to help, but thankfully we have a fantastic PR team that helps out with having a lot of our stats and information that I can always look to. But I guess just me being a one-woman show over here, that would be something that maybe a lot of people don't know.
I'm just saying now we know that someone writes or has a weekly update on who we're playing. I don't know. I feel like you need some research.
Yeah, maybe.
I got you, Keiana.
Thanks, Salli. Appreciate you.
You all have had multiple career steps to get to where you are. This isn't your first job in the league. Was there a piece of advice that someone gave you that really solidified your position on getting to where you are now?
Yeah, I think the advice that stuck with me the most is it doesn't matter how many people tell you no, it only takes one to tell you yes. So basically just try. That all they can say is yes or no. So you just have to try. If you don't try, then you'll never know. But all it just takes is one organization, one person to believe in you, one team to believe in you, and just say yes, and you can flourish so quickly.
I like that one, Salli. I think one that someone told me before I started full-time here was just to never get too comfortable with where you're at. So just, always don't be complacent, always be working to getting better, whatever that is.
It's a good one too. I think for me, one would be the saying that you hear all the time, but it really stuck with me. It's, who might get the job, but it's what that keeps the job. And it goes back to the topic that we were talking about a few moments ago, and that's having those relationships, cultivating relationships and maintaining those. I feel like networking and building relationships can take you such a far way in your career. I can say I've had people reach out recently and, they've been able to benefit from our relationship and vice versa for me as well. And then also it's not just getting in the door, but it's what you do once you get in the door. And that completely circles back to what Shelby just said, not getting complacent and always working as if there's someone right there to take your job. I think that's just one of those pieces of advice that stuck with me and that I look to in my day-to-day. I always want to be sharp. I want to be on top of my game, especially, and I say this being a woman in a male-dominated industry. I want to make sure that my work, it's doesn't just speak to, oh, she's a girl. I want it to be, this is great, regardless who wrote it or who's doing the interview. So I think that's one of the pieces of advice that stuck with me.
On that, I think it's a really interesting, sports is a male-dominated field. How much do you guys look at, I'm the only woman in my department, or I am the first, whatever? Do you guys think of it that way, or are I'm a pro scout, I work in journalism? What is that balance for you?
It kind of goes back to
Salli has a great response to this one.
It kind of goes back to what I told Keiana last week. Yes, I am the only woman in my job title, but I don't feel that way. When I walk around the building, when I step into a room, when I present to anyone, JL, Kyle, anybody that I'm presenting to, it's not, oh, well, you know, Sal did a good job as a woman. It's like, Sal did a good job. You know what I'm saying? It's never, you know, her work is good because she's a woman, or, you know, man, she's a great female scout. It's never been that way. I've never felt that way. I've never had to lessen my voice when I'm in a meeting, or if I had something to say. I'm always being heard. I'm always respected. So yes, even though I know that I am the only woman, I've never felt that way.
Going off of what Salli said, I've always felt very comfortable in my position, and you know, everyone that we work with has been great at making me feel comfortable. So yeah, I'm aware of it, but it's nice to have a balance. You know, my boss, the director of player engagement, is a male and I'm a female, so there's a balance with that, and you know, players can feel comfortable coming to both of us for anything.
I can say for me, I feel like I'm very fortunate in the situation I'm in with the 49ers. I feel like there's so many women in this organization that hold a number of roles. We have female photographers. We have female in our PR department. We have our general counsel who's female. We have these two ladies. We have Shelby. We have Salli. It's so many women here in this organization. And I feel like when I came here, I didn't feel like, okay, I'm, you know, the only girl in this department or in this, you know, in this group. I felt like I belonged. And I think I really appreciated that about being here. My digital department, I feel like we're pretty much split. It's about 50-50 with the men and the women. And I love that. I don't feel like my voice is lessened. I feel like I'm appreciated for who I am and what I bring to the table, not because I check a box.
And when the 49ers went to the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, Denise DeBartolo York did an interview with Kay Adams, and Kay asked her, do you think there will ever be a 49ers general manager? Do you think there will ever be a commissioner who's a woman of the NFL? Do you guys think that is something that is possible or is coming?
I'm going to jump in and I'm going to say yes. And I only say yes because I know a girl on this call right now who it is her aspiration to become an NFL GM.
Yeah, so absolutely. Absolutely, I think it's possible. I will make it possible. I know that there's no doubt in my mind that I won't make that possible. And I think that there are a lot of women that's now college scouts, and that's working their way up, you know, through scouting assistants. There's a lot of knowledgeable women in this league that understands football, that knows football. So there's no doubt in my mind that there will be a female GM or a female commissioner.
I think there are going to be a lot of women or young girls watching this who are going to look at you three and say, like, I want her job. I want to get to where she is. What would your advice to them be? Shelby, do you want to start?
Yeah. I would say it's really important to figure out what genuinely makes you happy and feel fulfilled at the end of each day. So whatever that is, go after it, and just to stay patient in that process and in getting to where you need to go, because it could take time. Like Salli said, you could get a million no's, but it just takes one yes. So just stay patient and keep going after what genuinely makes you happy.
Yeah, to kind of echo Shelby, find what makes you happy, and just go after it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't fall into societal norms, because it's not a norm right now. It will be hopefully in the future, but right now it's not a norm for women to be doing what us three women are doing. So don't fall into societal norms. You know what makes you happy. You know what drives you. You know what motivates you. Follow that feeling. Don't ever let that voice get quieted. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you can't do it, that you're not enough, because you are. You are here for a reason. You are always enough. And just find that one person that can help you along every step of the way. It doesn't have to be mom. It doesn't have to be dad. It doesn't even have to be a woman or a family member. It can be a teacher. It can just be somebody that positively impacted your life that can help you, and that can continue to have that voice inside of you and just keep on growing that voice inside of you and just telling you that you can do it, because it's hard. It is hard. There are going to be times that, you know, you feel like you're not enough. There are going to be times that you think that you cannot do it, but that voice inside of you will always tell you that you can. And it's just important to be around people that also reassure you, like, hey, you can do this. You are enough. You are worthy. You're smart enough. You're beautiful enough. You're talented enough. Just get around those people. And like I said, never let that voice inside of you quiet, because that voice is true. Whatever that voice is telling you that you can do, I promise you, you can do. You are worthy enough to do it.
I feel so
I'm
inspired.
so sorry you have to follow that.
No, I feel inspired after just listening to that. But I'll just say that I am a product of hearing 1,000 no's. Before I even got to this role, you know, I started second guessing, maybe this isn't the career path for me. And it goes right to what Salli just said. It was that voice in my head that told me to keep pushing forward. And, you know, eventually after 1,000 no's, and I'm not exaggerating, I got that one yes. And that one yes got my foot in the door and eventually led me to where I am right now. And then another thing that I will say is that we're in a time and age where we have so much accessible through our phones. We all have our phones in our hands. Everybody just about has one. And I think it's a great tool that you can use to create your own lane. If something isn't there that you want to do, we are now in a day and age where I believe that you have the power to create that yourself. So don't be afraid to do that. Create your own lane. And I think that just showing that initiative says a lot about you and what you're trying to do. And I think that's one of the things that I've also had to tell myself in my career. You know, not everything was, you know, a cakewalk for me, but being able to create your own lane, even if, you know, you're in the midst of those 1,000 no's, being able to invest in yourself and take a chance on yourself.
I think anyone watching this can see that we're not all together in person. I wanted to finish out by talking about work from home and how that's been going for you. We're almost a year in. If you guys had advice for yourselves a year ago to make the transition easier, what would that be?
I guess my advice to me a year ago would just be disciplined, be more disciplined, because it's very easy to get lazy and comfortable at home. In your bed, you know what I'm saying? You don't have the resources, the desks, the different monitors. So it's very easy to just kind of get lazy and say, oh, well, you know, I'll do that in an hour. I'll do that I'll just take a quick nap. I just say for me personally, just being more disciplined, because that was tough for me this year.
Yeah, like going off of that, I think getting into a routine is definitely really important, and not just staying in bed and taking Zoom calls from bed, but getting up, going for a walk, getting outside some air, doing whatever you need to do to get in a routine and not feel like you're just stuck.
Mine would be what both of these ladies said, but also putting an emphasis on just sometimes just getting outside and just breathing in some air. I'm really passionate about mental health and mental health awareness. I feel like this is a tough time for a lot of people for a number of reasons, and just taking care of yourself. We're all we get that Zoom fatigue on Zoom calls every single day, but having the opportunity to take care of yourself. I know in the beginning it was really tough trying to navigate. Can I go outside? Can I not go outside? But just even like standing on my balcony and letting the sun hit my face makes so much of a difference. I invested in some patio furniture because I wanted to be able, if I'm going to work at home, I want to be able to enjoy the scenery. So things like that, that's something I would have told myself earlier, just to take care of my mental. And I tell everybody that, take care of your mental while we're in this.
Well, this has been amazing. I want to thank all three of you because you guys were very insightful and knowledgeable, and I hope everyone at home gained as much from it as I did. Thank you to everyone listening, and happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day.
Yeah.